Hey guys, welcome to another video. This week I'm going to be making a mini paper donkey piñata. I have a template. You can find the link to that in the description. You'll need that along with some tissue paper, some paper craft glue, a glue stick, some scissors, a ruler, and some googly eyes. So getting started, I'm just going to cut out the template, just cutting along all the solid lines except for the ones that connect the glue flaps to the template. I did print this out on regular printer paper. I did want to print it out on cardstock, but then looking at the intricate folds, I figured it would just be easier to have a lighter weight piece of paper to make those folds. Alright, and with that cut out, I just want to go around and fold all the folds. So the glue flaps, folding those for the most part to the inside, and then folding each fold in the direction in which it needs to go. It'll just make it easier if I fold all of these folds ahead of time, so that when I'm gluing, I don't have to worry about doing two things at once. Once those are all folded, I'm just going to go around with the glue stick, flap by flap, and glue those down. Don't worry if you have to pinch the seams of the paper closed. It won't matter so much if you wrinkle the paper in the process, as long as you have the finished shape of the donkey when you're done. Probably the trickiest part of getting this template together is once you get up to the ears and the face, because it's a lot of small folds all together. The paper sometimes doesn't quite stick the first time with the glue, and maybe it's just the glue I'm using, but I didn't want to use a liquid glue because I was worried that it would make the paper too delicate to work with. Alright, once the template is together and the glue has dried, it's time to work on the tissue paper that will cover it. So taking probably a sheet of tissue paper per color, and folding it into roughly a 2" by 2" square, then cutting off the edges where it's folded and cutting that into 1/2" by 1/2" square pieces. Once you have all your pieces cut, it's time to start gluing them to the folded template. So I'm using the paper craft glue. I'm cutting a fringe on each piece before gluing it, and I'm only really gluing the top half of each piece, letting the fringe dangle down on the bottom without any glue. And I'm just putting these in any pattern that I want, layering them across the template. And there's only a few other things to keep in mind while going through this process of layering the tissue paper squares, and that's sometimes the squares won't fit in the spot that you need them to, so just folding them over to another side or cutting off the edges works for that, just to get it to the right shape. And as I finish up one side here, I'm just going to add a googly eye there, and then I'm going to work my way around the edges, remembering to get all sides of this, including the bottom and the insides of the legs, just so that when it's done, every side of the temple is covered. I think the only part that I didn't add the tissue paper was the bottom of the feet, but I figured it'd be standing on the feet anyway, so it wouldn't matter. And this is one of the projects that I've done that I really didn't realize how long it took to complete because I was really enjoying the process. It was a lot of squares and it was kind of repetitive in terms of just sticking one square after another, but watching it come together, it was a lot of fun. So as I finish this one up, I'm just gluing the last few squares here. I'll add a second eye. There's one last thing to add once all these squares are layered on, and that's the tail. So when we cut off the edges of the folded tissue paper before cutting it into squares, I saved those scraps. So I'm just going to take a couple of those to make the tail. So just taking those and gluing those on, trimming them to size. And that finishes up our piñata. And that's the end of my video for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next week.